Coming through.
Okay, let's see here.
What was that?
Hello.
Okay, did you see this one?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
Is somebody
sure.
not sharing?
Well,
Oh, you should
Just
be able
say
to
it. Stop. Let's just say it.
okay, well, Chris says we ought to say it, so it's
All
a
right.
pretty picture, but with the new day comes new strength and new thoughts.
Excellent.
And then another one is one small positive thought in the morning can change the entire outcome of your day.
Absolutely. For yourself and for those around you. They always say
Yeah.
even a simple smile can change the course of history. So right on. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into the four-way test. Let's see here. John Doan, can you help us with the four-way test today?
Hey, John.
Yes, if I can remember to unmute. So Rotarians, please join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Number one.
Is
Is
it
it
the
the truth?
truth?
Number two.
Is
Is
it
it fair?
fair to all concerned?
Concerned.
Number three.
Will it
Goodwill,
goodwill
and
friendships?
And number four.
Will it be
beneficial?
beneficial?
Officers
To
are
all
concerned.
concerned.
Hey, Chance, number five.
Is it fun?
Yes,
Yay! Thank you, Chance.
Yep.
Thank you, Dan.
Is it
thank you,
legal?
John. All right, so a couple of announcements before we jump into our program. First off, said Gayla's not here, so we might make this another announcement again as well. But Gayla and Jerry have been honored. Hopefully you can see this, as a major donor. With Jerry's passing last year, Rotary International has provided them a nice plaque, and Gayla a nice major donor pin. So congratulations.
Neat.
And thanks to Gayla for the support of Rotary International and just being an all-around great Rotarian. So
Super.
next up, we have three new applications, new member applications. It's a proud day for Tumwater Rotary. I want to welcome Natalia Kinder. I think you're out there. I think I saw you, Natalia, coming in.
When you guys are introduced, wave and say something so we can see you.
Yeah, why don't you wave and just give us a quick 20-second hello and where you're from.
Hi.
So let's see here. We got Natalia Kinder.
Hi, my name is Natalia Kinder, and what would you like me to share?
Where are you from? What's your place of employment?
I reside in Mason County.
Mhm.
I, however, a director of the program for Thurston, Mason, and Lewis County calls Parents for Parents program. And so I'm kind of all over the place, but my main residence is in Mason County.
Right on.
And Natalia works with Shelley Willis.
Yes.
And okay, thank you, Natalia. Next up, Stacy Gravette. I think I saw you out there somewhere, Stacy.
Yeah,
Oh, there you
hi.
are.
There we go.
Hi, I'm Stacy. I'm a real estate agent for Green Realty in Olympia. However, we moved to Tumwater about 9 months ago. So I thought the Tumwater Club would be a good fit.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, welcome. And last up, hot off the presses, we got the membership application in, I think this morning from Karen Robbins. Welcome, Karen.
Hello, Tumwater Rotary. I'm Karen Robbins, and I am the Director of Community Relations for the Olympia Union Gospel Mission, and we have a presence in Tumwater, and so I am looking forward to becoming involved with the Rotary.
Fantastic. Thank you, Karen. I think we're all looking forward to new members and the energies and the interest that you guys are going to bring. So welcome, and look forward to working with you a little bit more closely on some of the projects we've got coming up.
Great.
Dan,
Okay.
could we briefly introduce Jacob Hall real quick?
Sure.
Jacob Hall is also joining us as a member, hopefully in the near future. And they own All Right Moving.
Fantastic. Welcome, Jacob.
Hi, Dan. Hi, everyone.
Okay, running out. Last few announcements here. DACDB is up and running. If you haven't seen, I threw out a bunch of emails on it today. So if you haven't been able to get into that system yet, please try to get in there, take a look at it. Let me know if you have any questions on how to operate it, but it was fairly easy. For all the technical challenges I had today, that was not one of them. So thankful on that. Okay, Also, we're working on fundraising ideas, as many of you know. We've spent the last few sessions talking about fundraising. If you have a specific interest, if you're looking at working on Grub, Denise has a great fundraising idea that we're also coming up with. Anything along those lines, please reach out, let me know, or let Denise know, and we'll get you lined up in the right spots for that. We definitely need help with fundraising. So looking forward to the energies there. Let's see. I did hear from Denise yesterday. I don't know if you have anything to, expand upon this, but Dave Estergaard is in the hospital again. And so I know he would appreciate hearing from folks if you know how to get a hold of him. If not, we'll get some information out to you. Definitely, last but not least, keep the children in your thoughts. I spoke with Leela yesterday. She's doing the best that she can. She's working through a lot of the stuff, really trying to figure out Larry's business and, how to, really kind of bring some closure there as well. She's getting a lot of great support from the folks that worked in Larry's shop. So, and she says she misses everybody here. She says, thank you for all the thoughts, the love, the food, the flowers, the cards, everything. She's really appreciative of all of that. And last but definitely not least, I think somebody said it earlier, it's Bruce's birthday. Welcome, Bruce, and happy birthday, friend.
Happy birthday, Bruce.
Yay. All right, with that, a last note that our programs are being recorded. Given the technical difficulties today, I plan on sending this out to all of our members after the meeting. So everybody will get a chance to see this fantastic presentation that I know is just going to be wonderful. So the programs are being recorded, and unless the speakers say otherwise, please mute yourself during their presentation, so that way the bells and the bops and the moving the phones around on the table or whatever don't distract. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Denise for the intro for our presentation today. Thank you, everybody.
Really quickly, rather than, because they know who they are, I think Matt and I had talked initially that he was going to introduce Mike. And Matt, I think I'm going to go ahead and move forward with that plan just for the interest of time, because we want to give the majority of time to you. So I'd like to introduce Matt Kennelly with the LOTT treatment plant in downtown Olympia. And Matt, I'd like to turn it over to you and to Mike Strube for today's presentation.
Yeah, in fact, thanks, Denise. And we kind of had a late change. So Mike could open it up and then kick it over to me. So sorry for the late change for you. But thanks for having us here. We appreciate it. Mike?
Yeah, well, thank you everyone for having us. And hello, John. I didn't get a chance to say hi to you when you came on. We are from the LOTT Clean Water Alliance, and we have a couple of operations going around the communities. And so we thought, because we were asked to do this, we've kind of put together a program that looks a little bit at the history of LOTT, where we are and where we've been. And so I'd like to take a minute to introduce myself and Matt. I've been with LOTT now as the executive director since 2002. And gosh, what is that, about 19 years now. Matt has been with LOTT for about 10 years in different capacities. He started out as a consultant working for LOTT with Brown and Caldwell, and about 5 years ago came on board as an employee. And during that time period, he's progressed from a project manager to the senior wastewater engineer, and now, as of the first of this year, the assistant executive director. So he's a great asset for LOTT. We really enjoy having him. And in addition now to being the assistant executive director, he is managing one of the largest projects in LOTT that we've ever done. And he'll probably tell you a little bit about that. So with those introductions, I'm going to turn it over to him, and we'll both be here to answer any questions at the end of the presentation. So Matt, take it away.
Thanks, Mike. And just to say a couple words there for Mike's introduction. Yeah, the utility that you see today that LOTT is a leader in the industry is really a reflection of Mike's leadership since that 2002 when he came on. So just jumping right in here, as Denise had mentioned, it's Water and Sanitation Month with Rotary, and I saw in the latest Rotary magazine there's an article about wastewater and equity, and so it is good timing. Admittedly, I don't crack it open too often, but I did this time to take a look at what they had to say. So for those of you that need a refresher or understanding of what LOTT is we're a nonprofit corporation that was formed in the 70s from our 4 local governments here. So with Tumwater, it's Lacey, Olympia, and Thurston County, and one elected official from each of those jurisdictions serves on our board. So Pete Komet right now is our board president, and has been on the board for a few years now. So it's up to each jurisdiction to select which board member that they send to serve on LOTT. And our mission is to protect public health and the environment by doing wholesale wastewater treatment for our community and restoring that water resource to it. So about 175,000 people in the Olympia, Tumwater, and Lacey city limits. We have a sewer population of about 116,000. So that's just shy of 70% of folks are on sewer. The rest are on septic. The jurisdictions themselves are responsible for sewering and maintaining all those collection system within it. But when lines connect into a common system like Olympia and Tumwater come together, that's where LOTT takes over the responsibility to maintain those systems. Our main treatment plant is downtown at our Bud Inlet treatment plant. We have about 12 million gallons per day of wastewater flow that comes to us. That's on average, but the way our community was built, especially downtown Olympia, is combined sewers. Not in a lot of the newer areas, not a lot in Tumwater, but there's combined sewers in downtown Olympia. So sometimes when heavy rains or some of these snows that we got recently, we could be pushing 60, 65 million gallons per day. And our operators do a good job of managing all that flow, but it definitely creates some procedures we need to enact. And then the discharge of that treated wastewater goes into the environment through a diffuser pipe that heads out into Bud Inlet, hundreds of feet long with a bunch of diffuser ports on there. We also produce reclaimed water, about 1.5 million gallons per day on average. And it's important to note, and this is something for our community, is that LOTT treats our community's wastewater to the highest standards on Puget Sound. And so that's something that we're proud of. And we've been doing that since the early 90s. And so how we do that is a mixture of physical and biological processes where we essentially mimic nature in our biological process to remove those nutrients that would be harmful in the environment. And then we do procedures up front to make it easier to do that treatment, and then some downstream in order to disinfect it and create a usable product and reclaim water. And what I'd like to show you is a video that we recently developed that explains our system better. It's only a few minutes long, and we're excited to roll this out because we've been wanting to do this for a while. We hired a specialty production firm to put this together for us, and it just does a really nice job. So if you're interested in this, you go to our website. There's many more videos, including a 15-minute long one that gives a good overview. But I'll go ahead and play that here, and it'll explain the steps.
Just how do we clean the water that comes to the Bud Inlet Treatment Plant in Olympia? Well, here's the process in a nutshell. First, the dirty water arrives via a large underground 5-foot diameter influent pipe. Step 1, our headworks, where we take out the trash. Headworks, that is where we remove all the garbage from the wastewater. The incoming water runs like a river through big screens that filter out the trash, which then gets sent to the landfill. After we screen out the trash, the water flows through the grit chamber, where we get the smaller, heavier items out, aka the grit. Things like coffee grounds, eggshell bits, and dirt sink to the bottom of the chamber. Under the floor in this giant room is step 2 of the treatment process, known as the primary clarifiers. In the primary clarifiers, the water slows down and more waste settles out. The lighter stuff, the stuff that floats, are the fats, oil, and grease, called fog for short. The heavy material, yes, that's the poop, though we call it sludge at this point, will sink to the bottom. Long panels skim the bottom and top of the basins to remove the sludge and fog. Time for step 3. The next step in LOTT's wastewater treatment is the biological process. In this step, we use 60,000 to 70,000 pounds of microbes that work at the plant around the clock to help clean the water. In these basins, we mimic nature by using bacteria to break down the waste and gobble up the nutrients. It is especially critical that we remove the nutrients from the water, especially nitrogen, which comes from human waste, food, and some soaps and detergents. If excess nutrients are released into Puget Sound, it can cause algae blooms. Then, when the algae die and decompose, the oxygen becomes depleted in the water, which can cause other aquatic plants and animals to die. That's why this biological treatment step is so important. Step 4, the secondary clarifiers. In these secondary clarifiers, we let the water be still again. Here, the bacteria clump together and sink, helping pull other suspended particles out of the water. These bacteria are collected and some are sent back to the treatment process to be reused. Step 5. LOTT uses ultraviolet UV light for disinfection. The ultraviolet light deactivates any bacteria or pathogens left in the water. Here you have it, the treated wastewater called final effluent that is ready to be released into Puget Sound. What you sent us when you flushed the toilet or drained the sink arrived here looking like this, and now leaves like this. This water has been treated to advanced secondary standards, the highest level of treatment currently provided at any wastewater treatment plant along Puget Sound. That's the process that protects our waters that takes place 24 hours a day, 365 days a year at the LOTT Bud Inlet Treatment Plant.
So how about hearing about wastewater during lunch? Hopefully not a lot of you are eating or anything right now, but that's our business. We take pride in it for what we do, for taking that broken product really and turning it into something useful for our community. So let me go back to the presentation here. And here we go. Oop. So with what we do out of that treatment process, we get resources from wastewater. So biosolids is that broken down that bacteria primarily that we use for our treatment. That's stabilized and applied in Eastern Washington as part of a King County program for land up for wheat farms. So agricultural fertilizer with the gas that comes off of our digester process that creates those biosolids and stabilizes them. We run it through an engine generator and produce about 15% of our plant's electricity. We also produce heat for the process for our admin building, and over at the Hands-On Children's Museum, they get heat from this treatment process. And then reclaimed water is the third one that we produce. So when it comes to reclaimed water, we treat to a very high, it's treated to a very high standard. Basically, anything you could do with potable water except for drink it is what happens in reclaimed water. So we try to combine amenities with those type of reclaimed water infrastructure projects. So in the center here, you'll see the Tumwater tank, and that's over around T Street. And so that's a 1 million gallon storage tank that has that capacity to feed the golf course down in Tumwater. And we partnered with the city. So after we built the tank, we got the infrastructure set up so the city could come back and build a park on top of it. And it's a nice overlook over the golf course. If you go in front of the Hands-On Children's Museum, you'll see our East Bay Public Plaza, where we have a waiting stream for families and to learn about reclaimed water and restoring that use for our community. Down here in the lower right-hand corner is our Hawks Prairie recharge facility, where we recharge groundwater out in Lacey, run it through some wetland treatment ponds in advance of that, and then open it up as a park as well. And all that got started back in the late 90s with what's called the Wastewater Resource Management Plan, or what we refer to as our highly managed plan. A lot of community conversation at the time that said, as our community expands, we want to develop reclaimed water infrastructure as a capacity development piece, use it as a resource, don't keep sending more and more of those nutrients into Puget Sound, because we treat them at a very high standard, but the more people that are connected to the system, the more that goes out into the environment. So that's our long-term strategy, is to develop reclaimed water infrastructure, infiltrate into groundwater. So we do a lot of planning in order to make that happen. We're updating our planning right now with our Bud Inlet Treatment Plant planning. How are we going to use the the downtown main treatment plant into the future. We also have a satellite treatment plant called our Martin Way Reclaimed Water Facility that's out in Lacey near Department of Ecology. And then we're doing our phase 2 of it is looking at our capacity development. Right now, our reclaimed water piping goes to that tank I showed you. Ultimately, we're looking at, do we extend that further down into other infiltration sites to infiltrate groundwater? So we do continuous planning through the Department of Ecology, and that comes down from the EPA. That's where we get our permit. We look at our capacity every year. We look at how much flows and nutrient loads are coming to us. And all that gets synthesized down into our capital plan and our biennial budget that we do. So if you're connected to sewer in Tumwater, if that's where you live, but if you live outside Tumwater, you see that you have a couple fees. So like an example in Tumwater is we don't have our own billing staff at LOTT. So see a LOTT charge and a city sewer charge because the cities are responsible for maintaining all of that main sewer infrastructure within the city. And Dan's heavily involved in all of those details. And so you see a monthly service fee. That's a wastewater service charge. So our board of directors sets that every 2 years and verifies it each year. And then we have connection fees for connecting up to the system. So that's building new capacity, whereas monthly service fees are making sure that all those big treatment systems you just saw in the video are maintained, including the pumps and pipelines and everything out in the system. So what we do every couple of years when we put all that together is we take a look and make sure that, how are our rates stack up against our neighboring utilities in the state. And so we're proud to say again this year that Lacey, Olympia, and Tumwater are below the regional average. And on top of that, we have the best treatment of all those on the list. So it's something to be proud of for our community. And the way we get there is a stable financial plan. We set that in a 6-year financial plan set by the board. And it's generally indexed to construction costs. So we want to keep up with the inflation that comes with construction. Our capital budget is about 70. Our budget is about 75% capital. And so it takes a lot of resources to keep up and maintain these systems. So that's been generally set for 12 to 14 years now, generally about 3% per year. And then we live within those means. And so when we have a reduction in revenue, like we've seen in COVID, I'll talk about later, then we need to adjust projects and scale things back in order to adjust within that financial plan. So here's just a pie chart showing that about 3/4 of our budget is related to capital. And when I say capital, that means building that infrastructure and maintaining it. So what Mike mentioned, we've got some upcoming projects, and what Mike mentioned is this biological process improvements effort that I'm managing currently, and it's about a $30 million construction project. Our biological treatment systems are approaching 30 years old, do a great job, but they need to be upgraded, and we have an opportunity now to upgrade those with the latest technology. We're taking into account some energy savings features, including the way we move water around the plant and combining different tanks into more efficient systems. And by doing that, we'll save over 20% plant-wide in energy usage. And it means a lot, 20% plus, when we spend about $1.5 million every year just on pumping and aerating these large tanks and all the other electrical costs that kind of go into that. So we're excited about that project. It's going to last another couple years before we turn it on, but allow us to adapt much better into the future. Our digester refurbishment effort, that produces the gas and biosolids that I mentioned. So we want to make sure to keep those upgraded and provide new technology there. We actually implemented a new system that's the first in the nation in order to get more gas to our engine generator, electricity and engine generator in our boilers. So we're proud of that. And the collection system, those main trunk sewers that we're responsible for maintaining, we recently completed a televised inspection process. We TV'd 100% of the lines. There's not as many as the cities have. We have about 330 manholes and then all the interconnected piping, but in general, it's in pretty good shape, but we need to do some rehab projects and also improve some redundancy at our Martin Way Reclaimed Water Facility. some of the challenges that we see that we're working on into the future is sea level rise. So our main plant's in downtown Olympia there. So we're working with the port and the city of Olympia on sea level rise efforts and have been for some time. The reclaimed water infiltration study will start to roll out more to the public this year. We've had some information sessions over the last 5 years or so, but there's a group, there's a consultant helping us with this, HDR, and there's a group of scientists as well, because it's emerging technology here to understand what pharmaceuticals and personal care products and these residual chemicals that are pretty much a lot of times made to pass right through our body, you know, the artificial sweeteners and those type of things. Well, those go into the wastewater, which goes out into our systems because our treatment plants were not built for these. But they do get a fair amount of removal. So studying how much removal we get in our treatment systems, and then after the reclaimed water is applied to the ground and you have that soil treatment that happens. So just to understand that further and then have conversations with the community about what level of treatment is appropriate and the costs associated with that. So these are not regulated right now that we're looking at. And then regulatory changes. The health of Puget Sound is very important. So there's a total maximum daily load study that's related to nutrients, Bud Inlet that Ecology is looking at. That also relates to a general permit that has come out recently in draft form that affects LOTT and other partner utilities up north. And then Capitol Lake, we're part of that environmental impact statement that's happening. And it's important to note that with the studies that Ecology has looked at, wastewater treatment plants are only about 3% of the contribution to oxygen depletion in Puget Sound. So, and we recognize that we all need to do our part, but wastewater treatment plants are about 3% of that total impact when you account for other non-point sources as well. And then COVID hit us like many other places, and less, you know, with businesses closing down or not in operation, or, you know, just the growth not happening in the same way. So our revenue projections over the next 5 years have changed. So that revenue projection, about 7.4 million over the next 5 years is what we anticipated. And so we put a hold on some hiring and adjusted some projects and a variety of changes in order to make sure we can still meet our commitments to treatment. And so we're tracking that closely. We've adjusted staff and working hours. Our wet science center for visitation is closed right now, and we hope to open it up again soon as it gets later in the year if we can. All our board meetings are online with those board members I showed you in the beginning. And then just a kind of a side, you know, geeky engineering note on the wastewater characteristics. When folks were all cooking from home, we saw a lot more grease because folks at home don't have grease traps usually, and the businesses, you know, weren't on operation. So that creates more of a maintenance work. And probably the city of Tumwater saw some things too, John and Dan. So just to kind of interesting how changes out in the systems affect what comes down our way. So with all that, we put together an annual report, and I just grabbed a few interesting notes here, more related to the resources created, but we didn't have any pollutant exceedances out into Bud Inlet. And with that, hundreds of millions of gallons of reclaimed water went to beneficial reuse. A lot of biosolids generated for land application and that fertilizer benefit. And then energy generation too, 1.4 million kilowatts of energy generated. So I'll go ahead and stop there. Look forward to, when we get open again, having you come down and see us. But Mike and I will take any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Mike. So you said come down and see us. So you guys aren't operating tours right now, are you?
Yeah, I mean, good question. After we're able to open our wet science center, you can come and visit. We have a lot of interactive visits. We bring tour groups through on various Saturdays for the public. But we also schedule with the school districts. So the city of Tumwater sends one class, I forget if it's 6th, 7th, or 8th grades, but they all go through the treatment process to learn about what happens. And so we do that for Olympia and North Thurston as well.
Yeah, when things are opening again, I encourage anybody who hasn't been down on a tour of the LOTT facilities to get down there and do it. It's pretty fantastic. The application of technology and science to treat our waters, and restore them to a level that's protective of the environment and human health is pretty fantastic to get down there and see that. So with that, I'll open it up to any other questions from the floor. All right.
Mike?
John.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, John.
I don't know that I have a question as much as a couple of comments. I mean, first off, thank you, Mike and Matt, for being here and this informative presentation. LOTT is one of our best partners. I know when I came to Thurston County, one of the things that was a huge sigh of relief was that there was someone else who handled the wastewater treatment system. And to be able to do that regionally is really the smart way to do it, because small wastewater treatment plants are expensive and they don't operate nearly as well as being able to do something on a county-wide sort of regional basis. Also, just wanted to toss out, Matt mentioned the reclaimed water at the golf course. During a nice summer day, we use about 600,000 gallons of water to irrigate the golf course. And so by using reclaimed water, we're able to then use the regular water that we would otherwise pump. It saves energy because we don't have to pump all that water. But we're able to then, reuse those water rights and reapply them in other ways to the benefit of the rest of the city. So that's a great thing. And then second, I just want to do a pitch. Matt talked about the people cooking at home and other stuff going down the drain. The other thing that's happening is everyone's wiping things down with alcohol wipes and sanitizing wipes and whatever. And a whole bunch of people are putting that stuff down the toilet. And please don't do that because it gets stuck along the way. And so we have like way more sewer backup problems because that stuff goes down the drain and gets stuck in different places. And that's just not a nice thing to have happen. And I'm sure it has huge impacts to the LOTT system. Also, it's just more things they have to fish out in those early parts of the treatment process. So that's just my pitch. No question. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
And I'd like to just kick it over to Mike too, if he had anything further to add to what I said with any of the community partnership with Tumwater and the tank, or where we're going as a utility.
Well, thanks, Matt. I think, and thank you, John, for that, because that's incredibly important. And if you watch the longer video that is on our website, you'll see that is a big problem for us. And the things, the wipes and things, they may say they're toilet friendly, but they're not. And it causes a huge problem. As John said, it certainly causes it upstream in the small collection system, but it also causes it at the plant, and much more maintenance that we have to do in the early stages of treatment to get that stuff out of the system, because it doesn't degrade. And anyway, so that was a good message. We are continuously looking at ways to benefit our communities, and we have to build infrastructure, and we'll continue to do that into the future. There are a lot of plans to potentially go south, continuing that line as Matt showed you on that slide, and there's lots of potential possibilities. I think maybe a lot of people have heard there is a new hatchery potentially being planned by State Fish and Wildlife. John is completely up to speed on all this stuff, but LOTT has been speaking with those folks about potentially using some LOTT property that we own down there for that, and then partnering with resources to help make that a reality. So it's a possibility that the city and Fish and Wildlife and LOTT could all have joint benefits out of a project like that. So we're always looking at ways to continue to do that, and Tumwater is critical and key in those future projects.
I don't know if we have time down. I saw that Denise had a couple of questions in the chat.
Yeah, Denise has got a couple questions. I know Teresa had one too. So I think we've got time for one question. Rolling up on the 1 o'clock hour here. Teresa, I think I saw you first though. Denise, we'll follow up. You're muted.
Just a quick question on In the winter months, when you don't use, are not able to irrigate the golf course, what do you do with reclaimed water?
We are downtown reclaimed water facility at Bud Inlet Treatment Plant that produces that. We keep it running partially for in-plant uses, but because the golf course says that, we go to a lower capacity. So we still need water to offset internal to the plant. Instead of using potable, we use our Class A reclaimed water. But to answer your question, we just reduce capacity in the wintertime.
So you just discharge more out to the bay?
Correct.
I would add, though, that in our second, we have another reclaimed water plant in Lacey. I don't know how many of you've seen that out there. That's a very interesting facility, and tours are available of that back when life resumes in some normal state. But at that facility, we continue to put reclaimed water. That runs all the time, and we put reclaimed water out in the Hawks Prairie facilities and continue to recharge it into the groundwater. And there are two recharge facilities, one that's LOTTs that you saw, but the cities of Olympia and Lacey also have a recharge facility that they mitigate water rights with. And so we actually do recharge that depending on groundwater conditions in the winter months as well. So it really just depends, but the systems are active all year long. They may be in a reduced state, but they're always going.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike. Let's see here. Denise just had a comment, really just curious about whether or not LOTT is coordinating with landlords to, let their tenants know about flushing and the wipes and all those kinds of things too. So if there's any coordination, the opportunities there for you, you can kind of let us know. And I guess with that, Mike or Matt, do you want to have any closing thoughts? No?
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here. It's always interesting to hear how
Thank you.
our stuff is taken care of. So thank you with that. I'll attach the longer videos to our minutes that we'll send out for folks in the recording, of this session, so folks can have the opportunity to view those videos as well, because I think they're pretty fantastic. We saw the longer one the other week, and it was cool. And with that, I guess, Chance, are you still here?
Yeah.
Chance, there you are. You had an announcement you wanted to make today.
Yep.
Go for it, sir.
I have been working on the heptathlon for 8 weeks for special Olympics, and I did really, really well by improving. Every week we did push-up, running, squats, and mountain climbing, and the balancing.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right on. You do a lot better than I do, keeping in shape and doing good things. All right. On that note, everybody have a fantastic Wednesday. Rest of your week. We'll see you next week. Denise, what's up next week?
Next week, we have Merritt Long here, and he is going to be sharing excerpts from his book, From the Back of the Bus. And some of you may know Merritt. He is a long-standing state leader and local leader here, and his wife, Marcia Tadano Long, ran the Department of General Administration. So he will be talking about his book. And then the last week of the month, we're going to host Clarence Morawaki, and he is going to be sharing a story about the Bainbridge Island Japanese Americans that were interred during World War II, and he's with the Washington State Humanities Commission. So we have two very good programs coming up over the next 2 weeks, and I hope you'll pass the word and we'll have a good turnout.
Excellent. Got some good stuff coming up. We have some new members on the horizon. Good to meet all of you today. Karen, I see you're still on the screen. Welcome again. And I think we got Stacy and Natalia out there as well. Welcome to everybody. With that, thank you for today, and we'll see you all next week.
Yep.
Take care.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Mike.